Need inspiration? I've just been sent some. Check it out right here on Gary's Stuff. Hi there, I'm Gary. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you've been here before. So today I'm having a look inside a box that was delivered just the other day from spruebox.co.uk, and it is my first inspiration box. Now, the idea is that you subscribe to the Spruebox program, and if you're at Flying Officer or Wing Commander level, you get an inspiration box. A Flying Officer gets them 2 times a year. Wing Commanders, like myself, get them 4 times a year. Now, each box is a self-contained system. There's a kit and some other stuff. And the other stuff is the inspiring bit, because it inspires you to do something creative. I'll explain more when we go through it. Now, if you like the program, and hope you do, please remember, Imperial thumbs up on the button below, and if you haven't done so yet, please do subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and you'll be notified of all my future videos as they arrive, including the build I'm going to be doing with this inspiration box. Of course, if you want to give a bit more concrete support to the channel, you can do that through super thanks, through becoming a channel member, or indeed through any of my online partner programs. So enough of all of that. Let's have a look inside what you get with a typical inspiration box. When you open your box, this is what you find inside, this time anyway. First of all, you find a 1/35th scale kit of a Bantam 40 BRC, which is like think of it as a Jeep, but in the Soviet army at the end of World War II, or middle of World War II. We also have some shaped pieces of black foam. We have 3 sheets of card, and we have 2 bags of plastic bits of roofing. I'll have a closer look at all these bits individually. So first of all are these 3 pieces of structural foam. This could be the basis for either for some landscaping, or it could be indeed the basis for a building. The sheets of card are A4 in size and in 3mm, 2mm and 1mm thickness. There's a plastic bag full of very small things that look like they could be tiles, indeed, or roof tiles or things like that. And also there's a few sort of semi-cylindrical pieces that could be ridge tiles, or they could indeed be small pieces of guttering maybe. And then finally there's the kit. It's made by Mini Art, and it's a Bantam 40 BRC Jeep, light utility vehicle. It comes in plastic. It contains the car and 5 figures. There's photo etch. This is quite a complicated little kit by the looks of things, not as straightforward as it maybe first looks. Let's have a look inside the box. Okay, inside we have instruction booklet. We'll have a look at that in a bit more detail in a moment. We have the plastic sprues, or frames I should say. We'll have a look at those in detail as well. This is some clear parts. And we have some decals here. And we have a small packet containing photo etch. Let's have a look at all these things one by one. Frame A contains most of the bodywork of the truck, most of the structure of certainly the upper structure of the truck, seats, things like that. Frame B contains most of the underside, contains the engine, the drive system, the chassis, wheels, exhaust and so on. Frame D contains all the bits of the 5 figures that are supplied. Frame C is the transparent frame, which has the 2 driver's windows, windshield, and 2 lamp covers. Next, slightly confusingly, we have frame CA. This contains helmets, shovels, bits and pieces of personal equipment for the occupants of the vehicle. And frame CB includes the parts for a Maxim machine gun. And finally frame DA, a couple more weapons, some ammunition holders and pouches. As for the plastic itself, the moulds seem to be quite well used. There's quite a bit of flash on the pieces, but you know what, not so much that we can't clean them up fairly easily. In terms of detail, there's plenty. I don't think this is going to be a problem to put together because it doesn't seem too complex, but also it looks like it's a lot of opportunity for some nice weathering and shading effects to be made. Overall, the kit looks robust and well made, but there's going to be some work needed to clean up some of these parts. The figure modelling looks quite good. Faces are nicely enough sculpted. Uniform looks good. So the figures at least should be really good to go on. There is a photo etch sheet. This appears to have parts for the machine gun, alternative shields and things like that. It has the frame for the windows, and it has restraining belts, passenger belts, things like that on the sides, and one or two other things like a windscreen wiper. And finally, there's this very small decal sheet, decals for the instruments, a couple of warning panels for the inside of the vehicle, and then some military markings. The instruction sheet is actually really beautifully printed, on the outside at least. On the inside we have the all-important map of the parts. On frames A and B, I think on D as well, certainly on A and B, the parts aren't numbered on the frames as well. So what I might do is just go through and number them on the feeders next to the parts. There's a very useful colour call-out sheet. I don't know how accurate these are at the moment. I need to go through the Vallejos, which is what I use most of the time, and check out the numbers. Anyway, it's got the Vallejo, Mr. Colour, AK, mission models, ammo by MiG, and Tamiya call-outs for all of the colours being used. And then the instructions themselves are, pretty typical instructions. No perspective lines here, completely whatever. Is this orthographic? We don't have perspective projections. Anyway, upper three-quarter view as usual. They seem reasonably straightforward. That's part one, and that's work one and where it goes, things like that. I'm not used to mini art myself. This will be the first mini art kit I've used, so I'll have to get used to the way they do the instructions, I'm sure. But it doesn't look too difficult. Fortunately, it's not that complex a kit, I don't think. An awful lot of the parts are for all of these things, like the Maxim machine guns, and there's all sorts of entrenching tools, grenades, mugs, spoons, pouches, weapons, tin hats, all that sort of thing. And then there are the five figures. There's a driver, guard, senior officer, probably like a general, something like that, brigadier or general. There's someone who looks a bit more like a captain, and there's a police officer here who is waving flags to point people where they can and cannot go. And then on the back there's some colour schemes. This one looks the most appealing to me just because it's got some different, some contrasting pieces on it, not just one flat colour. I'm really looking forward to trying to get some decent weathering looking on here. I'm not going to bother with the machine gun. I'll just have the driver, say one of the officers, and maybe the guard in the back. I'll see how I feel about it. But there we go. It's very nicely produced instruction booklet. So there it is, my first inspiration box. Am I inspired? Well, actually, yes, I am. I've got some ideas of what I'm going to do in terms of a diorama with the figures and with all the blocks and with the shingles and everything else that's there. Maybe build a few things that aren't immediately obvious. Figure out how to do a bit of interesting texturing, things like that. All sorts of bits and pieces I'm going to be working on. And hopefully they'll look fantastic when they're done. If not, then I've learnt something as well. So win-win. Anyway, do come back to check out how this goes on. It'll take a bit of time to build, but it'll be going all the time. Do come back, have a look. The way you can do that is by subscribing to the channel, hitting that bell, and you'll be notified of all my videos as they turn up on the channel. And of course, anything you like when you watch it. Please do remember the imperial thumbs up on the like button below. Every like helps. Thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you very soon. Take care now and goodbye.